Okay, hi, this is Will again, and we're just going to proceed from where we were last time. First thing I want to do though is I'm going to actually take a step backwards, so I'm going to delete everything. I'm going to I'm going to delete the row, and I'm going to delete the row again, and what I'm doing is I'm just highlighting it with the left click and pulling up the menu with the right click, and then I'll just delete it. So now we've got no program. Now what I'm going to do is all programs need an end statement in the last line. So actually I could put it either here or here, but I'm going to put it here just so I do the next one correct. Now we are connected to my PLC, and you can see I've got a yellow LED on my light stack, and that's just from whatever was in there before. And what I'm going to do is load this program, which does nothing. So it'll turn off the light. So we have a program, and you'll be doing this when you actually write a program. We'll show what it's like. But here I'm going to go in, I'm going to connect up to my PLC. Now I'm already connected, so this should be good, and it shows good. Right here it just shows that we're in Ethernet, and it shows how I'm connected up, and we'll talk about this when we talk about connecting with the Ethernet. I'll just say connect. Now here, I don't want to read the project from the PLC. I want to write into it. And this is, again, what I do 99% of the time. I don't really care what's in the PLC. I want to write the project. Remember, it's project, it's not data. So we're writing the project into the PLC. And it'll go through. Now I should see this screen that's kind of this purplish screen. If you see that, you're doing good, and you just hit OK. And here you got to change from run to stop. You see it's in stop. And when it says transfer completed, that means this code is in the PLC right now. And now when I hit OK, it'll go back to run. And as soon as that happens, you know, my lights will be out. And they were out when I stopped the PLC. So now what I want to do is I want to go back and recreate what I had before. So up here, and again, if we want to put a contact here, we need to have that highlighted, or have the focus, as they say here. So I'm going to call that normally open, and we call that C1. And again, since we're starting from the same program, it still has that name. Now over here on this output, we had Y001. So I'm going to call that Y001. Now I know that my Y001 is hooked to my red lamp on the stack light. So if I go into my address picker and I go into my Y001, because it's highlighted, puts me there automatically. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to call it red lamp. And I hit OK. Remember to hit OK, and that'll put you there. Now, what we do quite often is I wanted to put that rung in a second time, so I left click here to highlight it, and then right click to pull it down. And what I need to do is I want to insert a rung after the cursor. And remember, there's rungs and rows, just like there's in the PLC, there's data and write. So I'm going to insert the rung after the cursor. Now what I can do is, again, left click, highlight, right click to copy, and then go down here and paste. And now I wanted to change this to Y002. Now Y002 happens to be the amber light. So I am going to go back into my address finder, because it's highlighted, puts me right there. And I'm going to say yellow rather than amber. And hit OK. Now I also need to change this. Now one thing is, if you go over here, the one thing about it is it'll put it next to it. If you pull down from here and say I want a normally closed contact, it'll assume that we're talking about there. So I still want C1, so now I've just changed it to from normally open to normally closed. This is where we ended the last the last view graph, or the last presentation for video. So now if I want to run this, I'm going to again do the same. Well, now we're already connected, so we don't have to disconnect. So now we're going to write the project into the PLC. and we're going to hit OK, and we're going to go from run to stop. And the reason I didn't load it last time is because before we had the yellow lamp on, and this again is going to turn on the yellow lamp. So I'm going to say transfer completed, OK. And when I do this, it's going to turn that on. And it's going to turn that on because this is off. Now, when we're looking at it running, and this is an important thing, this little cyan color that's in this C1 contact and in this output, what that means that this is actually, it is conducting. So it's conducting from this rail through this contact, and then that goes over to here. And remember, if it conducts to this point here, then this turns on. So this is saying this is conducting, and this one is saying this is on. Now here, this one's not conducting, so naturally this is not on. Now another way, you can tell that just by the cyan color. You can also go in here for this data view, and the data view, it automatically says you can have several of these data views. But if you go into this data view, you can pick an address, and we want to take a look at C1. So we're going to highlight the control relays, and we want to pick C1, and again we'll hit OK. Now when we do this, it tells us that it's address C1, it has the name input 1. It tells us that the current value is off. Okay, and let's just think about that for a second. C1 is in both of these, and it only has one value. It's a bit, so it's either a 1 or a 0. It's either on or off. And this is saying it's off. And if we go back to here, remember, this only conducts when it's on. This one, the normally closed, conducts when it's off. So again, when we look at this is the normally closed. So this conducts when it's off. So that's fine. And what we can do, and I think what I'll do here, is I'm just going to go offline. And I can go offline by just clicking that online, offline. It just toggles between the two. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to once again insert a rung. And now what I want to do is I also have some push buttons on my control panel. And I'm going to use the green push button and the reset push button. And I'll take my green push button, which I'm going to put a normally open contact in there. And I'm going to make, and I know my green push button is wired to X002. And what I'm going to do, because now I'm controlling the red lamp, the yellow lamp, I'm going to make that push button control my green lamp. So I'm going to put an output coil there, and that'll be Y003. The other thing I want to do is I'm going to add another rung, and I'm going to rung after. And I'm going to put my reset contact in here, and I'm going to make that normally open too. Now I know my reset is wired to X003. You can also find where it's wired to. You can look at our wiring diagrams and the electrical information, and that'll tell you that actually our start push button is 2, reset is 3, 001 is the stop push button, and we'll get to that in the next video. But what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to wire this to an output, but now I'm going to wire this output to C1. Okay, so now our reset button is going to control this C1, and then we can see it switch, and then it'll switch between these two. This one, when we press the green push button, it'll just turn on the green lamp. So what I need to do right now is I want to go back into my address picker, and always remember you want to put in the definitions for what these are. So my X002 is my start push button, so I say start underscore capital PB, so I know it's a push button. And likewise I'll make this my reset push button. And then I need to go into my Y bits, and I've got 1 and 2, but now I need to also put in my green lamp. So now, and I'll hit OK, And so now we've got names on all of these. So now when we first put it in, and these are normally open, so nothing is going to happen until I actually go over here and press either the green push button or the blue push button. And the green push button is just going to control the green lamp. The blue push button is going to switch between red and yellow because I'm changing whether this contact C1 is going to be on or off. So let's take a look at that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here. Now because I disconnected, I have to reconnect. And generally if you're making a lot of changes, you probably want to disconnect before you make all the changes. It really doesn't make a difference, but your PLC, it can keep running in the background, and sometimes well, it's either annoying or a little confusing if you're just starting out, so might as well disconnect. So we're going to connect up, and we don't want to read that last project. We're going to read in a new project. And here we're going to write it in. Now here, when we first load it, we can go in there and we're going to say it's in run mode, stop mode. As soon as I change it to stop mode, that yellow light's going to go out. Okay, so now everything's out. Now the transfer is complete. Now again, as soon as I click this OK, that yellow light's going to go back on. Okay, so now I've got this green lamp, and what we want to see is when I press this start push button over here, this green push button, that green lamp is going to come on and the yellow lamp will stay on too. So now I'm going to press the button and my green lamp and my yellow lamp are on, and I'm controlling that, and you can see me controlling it, and you can see the aqua colors coming on the screen. You know, over here we're going to see that go on, and so the output goes on. Now when I hit my reset, we'll go down here. Now what's going to happen here is when I hit reset and this turns on, now my input C1 is going to turn on, which is going to turn on the red lamp and turn off the yellow lamp. So you can see how it's switching here, and that is the very basic control. But let's just talk about this green push button here. Now this works fine. When I press the button, the green light goes on. But if I want my green button to stay on, I don't really feel like, you know, if I want my green button on for 10 minutes, I don't want to have my finger on this push button for 10 minutes. So next time out, what we're going to do is we're going to show you a seal-in circuit. And what the seal-in circuit does is I can just push a push button, momentary contact, and it's going to keep that lamp on for as long as I want to keep it on until another signal is going to command it to turn off. Seal-in circuit is, I think, the most important circuit in PLCs. You're going to use it all the time. The circuit in particular that we're going to make next time, you know, we started out with what we had last time, and we're just going to keep building on it. But this seal-in circuit is going to be your first circuit, and you're going to use it in every single program. And you'll use similar circuits all throughout your programs. All programs that you're going to write are going to have seal-in circuits. So while we say, yeah, you use timers a lot and you use counters a lot, you're going to use seal-in circuits all the time. So next time out, we're going to talk about seal-in circuits. So thanks. See you next time.